Hello. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully, for those of you joining me live, you're enjoying equinox, first day of spring, first day of autumn, depending on which hemisphere you're watching in. This is a really great day to have a reading because the energy is shifting and moving. And that's really what we're here to do each and every week, day, month, whenever you join me, is to move the energy in the right direction. So welcome. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. You're watching your monthly reading. This can be used for Sun, Rising, Moon, Venus, any aspect of your chart that you happen to know. We're going to specifically be looking mostly at the Sun today, but I do go into Sun, Rising, and Moon messages towards the end, so I hope you stick around for that. I always like to begin with some channeled messages, and every reader works a little bit differently, but the way that this functions for me is that before we shuffle the cards, I've basically already downloaded some information in dreams, meditated on that, put it together in a way that makes sense, and that's what we're going to talk about first. So the reading is beginning now, and then we'll get into, like I said, all of the other components here in just a moment. So today, there was a lot of directional energy that I was picking up on for you. And again, this will help you through the next 6 to 8 weeks. So bear that in mind as we're talking about it. The first thing is shifting out of autopilot mode, which we're all guilty of being in from time to time. And then I also saw some energy around trying to be heard, trying to be seen, trying to find a seat at the table. And as I was wrapping everything up this morning, actually looking out this window, I saw a hummingbird pop in, and I wanted to talk a little bit about how that'll relate to everything. So let's begin first with the energy around being in autopilot. The clearest connection in tarot would, of course, be the Chariot card because it's basically a vehicle. And in modern if I were to create a deck, you probably would have like a motorcycle or a car or something of that nature. So I watched as you were sitting in an automated car without any sort of ability to direct or tell it where to go. And so for some of you, you may be happy. Maybe you're in cruise right now because everything's going exactly as you'd like. That's good. You can stay in that if you'd like to. If, however, you've been in cruise or autopilot and you haven't been paying attention, there could be an opportunity to get wherever you want to go a little bit faster or more efficiently. And this is specifically for the portion of you that might have just sort of been putting yourself in autopilot because it's just not clear where to go. It's sort of like, this is good enough. This is good for now. I'll just hang out here and see what else comes along. This portion of the reading is sort of like the wake-up call there. So the Chariot and the energy of taking the wheel is about deciding, is this really okay for me? Am I instead possibly fulfilling my parents', my partner's, my children's expectation of me? Or an old version of myself that set out to do this. But you know what? I've checked off everything that I wanted to do. And now at this age or this juncture, I want to shift and, take a right, take a left, or do something different altogether. So if you want to take the wheel and turn, do that. The other thing here, if we continue to work with the metaphor of a vehicle, is the maintenance of the car. You don't want to drive on an empty tank. Are some of you like overdoing it, working way too hard? Are you also fulfilled, when we're looking at filling the tank, it's also like emotional happiness. And then, of course, diet, exercise, and rest. This is the closest we have on this planet to sort of like a vehicle or a vessel. It carries our energy and our soul as well as, allows us to do things. So we want to take care of it. You're not just along for the ride. If I had to sum up this card, you are the driver, you are the co-creator, you're the co-pilot, if not the pilot. So just a little bit of encouragement with that image. The next thing reminded me, it wasn't childhood, but it reminded me of childhood. So it was a restaurant, just a regular old restaurant, and it seemed like people were looking for a seat. Either they'd gotten up and they couldn't find it, or they just didn't even know where to go in the first place. What this reminded me of in my own life was the first day of high school. I remember it was easy up until then, but there was something weird that happened between grade 8 and grade 9 in the US school system anyway, because high school usually comprises 9, 10, 11, 12. But anyway, like that first year when you're a freshman, all of a sudden, someone that you hung out with in the middle school, then they would be like suddenly sitting with the jocks or the cheerleaders or the geeks or the band folks or the theater ones. And it's just it is on some levels, it was like Mean Girls. And you just thought, well, how did this weird division happen where we could hang out before, but now it's not cool. So some of you may be in this sort of transitional phase where your old spiritual or energetic tribe has shifted, or maybe you're feeling like you need to shift. There could also be frustration of being seen or heard. And one thing that I do remember, and I can see now, the cool kids in school are not necessarily cool anymore. Sometimes they peak in high school, right? The peak of popularity. And then once you get out into the real world, things like compassion, intelligence, vulnerability, the ability to bounce back, and all of those sort of difficult things that a lot of us went through when we didn't get to sit at the cool kids table, they actually pay off. And then you can thrive even if you didn't there. So just because you can't find a seat at the table with one group doesn't mean that you're not worthy. It means that that wasn't a receptive energy, and it may not be a sustainable energy for them to continue to sort of push people out, the exclusivity. And that's something I would love to time travel and tell my younger self, just don't freak out, it's fine. I always had a place to sit, but I noticed the sort of delineation and certain people sort of orbiting in and orbiting out. And you get kind of sad sometimes, whether you're an adult or a kid and you see that, but it's okay, it's a natural sort of thing. You deserve a seat at a table, and you'll find the right group and the right receptive energy for whatever it is that you have to offer. But just remember, that person that you think is cool, or the one that's trying to sort of like push off your energy and act like they're better than you, sometimes it's a defense mechanism. They may have their own issues. We never know what's going on. So wherever you are at the table, I just want everybody to know that you deserve a seat, you deserve a voice, and it's really about finding the right connection here, okay? So I featured the 10 of Cups because there's a lot of 10 of Cups out there. It's not just the one big round table that you want to be at. All right. At work, however, if you are getting paid to do something and you want to speak up and say something and have an impact and you're not allowed, then there could be a glass ceiling, there could be a bigger discussion, but that's what I'm picking up on here. Speed and abundance coming through. The hummingbird stopped by and said, it's going to be all right, everybody. To me, this is auspicious. It symbolizes abundance, things really moving quickly, which is why I chose the Knight of Swords. It's kind of like the speed, the Roadrunner, the speedster of all of the court cards. It's basically saying embrace the energetic flow, do as much as you can. Remember to drink in the moment as well, because anybody that sees hummingbirds where they live, they're constantly drinking all day long. And they don't get a lot of sleep, but when they do sleep, they really go all in a state called torpor, where they just basically shut down. I would love for you to moderate a bit so that it's not like all in or all out. There should be something in the middle. Some fun facts about hummingbirds. We're not going to do a real deep dive because I've done it before, but a couple of cool things. They can, kind of like a helicopter, go up, down, forward, back, sideways. So they have this maneuverability. And they also have larger brains than most birds and most animals. So disproportionately big brain and really good memories. So the brain power and the sort of aerodynamic and not just that, but sort of like ability to go in any direction. This is cool. This means that whatever challenges might come your way, you absolutely have what it takes to maneuver and to figure a way through it or out of it, or to basically just make the most of it. Okay? So overall, some really good stuff. Again, it's a time to sort of wake up and find a group where your energy is well received. And once you do that, the hummingbird basically tells you that it's going to be a busy and not necessarily a bumpy ride, but a busy ride here. So I'm here today to help you maximize your energy, maximize your opportunities, and see what wants to come through. All right. So now, folks, let's get into the Celtic Cross today. Hope you all are doing well. I appreciate that you decided to spend some time with me today. And let's begin. Okay, we have a volunteer and we'll take it. Let's see. I'll move this closer because otherwise you won't hear me. There's our chariot. Okay, let's begin with your Catalyst card. It's a beautifully illustrated one, reminding you to hold that lantern from the Fool, not the Fool, but the Hermit, all of the wisdom, all of the experience that you've gathered, and then also to be the Star. If I'm thinking of two of the cards that show the most light, the Hermit's holding it, and then the Star becomes it. So you may have some situations this month where you're being asked to be the light in a situation that could be challenging or where other people just don't have it in them. So continue to shine your light, continue to amp up your light and be the star and be the sort of voice of reason if you need to. And I think that's going to be really valuable right now. And focusing on enlightenment, this could also be a period of time during which you want to focus a little bit more on education, introspective work, spiritual work. All of those things would comprise that beautiful card. All right, so let's look at the Celtic Cross here, focusing on the center, looking at the Empress here, represented by Guinevere. Let's see what she has to say. Well, first of all, I love that there's a little monarch butterfly, it looks like, coming out of her hand. And this is a beautiful sort of springtime energy coming through with this as well. So the Empress represents beginnings, birthing, controlling, and basically nurturing whatever it is that you want to see something happen or create in this moment in time. So I guess this card is really asking you, are you ready? What are you ready to do in this moment? Let's scan the cards here and see how she's affecting everything around her. I usually do this at the beginning just to get a temperature check. So I like to always look at these two cards. So I think one of your big challenges this month is going to be stress management, but we see a really good outcome. So with her at the helm driving, and this is the outcome, it's good. A little bit of uncertainty getting there, but it looks pretty good. And then some communication challenges, which we'll talk about. And again, a little bit of control issues, particularly around money, which we need to sort out. All right. It all looks pretty good. There's not that many cards of concern, let's put it that way. All right, so the Empress, it is about taking control. We see that also coming through, like I said, in the environment with respect to your money. So this is a month to get really comfortable with your finances, to speak up and say how much, when, where you want to spend time and energy on something. And that's going to be vital to your sort of health and happiness. We have a Knight of Swords, which I featured. I like that he's going in and kind of like cutting through the underbrush, creating his own path or her own path here. So you're at a sort of like precipice, some of you, where maybe you've gotten to a certain point. And like I said, sometimes we achieve success and then it's sort of like, well, now what? I want something else. I'm ready for a change. And then if that's the case, good for you. We're always allowed to change our mind. We're always allowed to try new things. And this is a period during which that's going to be welcomed, beneficial, and something that you can actually accomplish pretty well. This is a fast-moving card. So what I would expect right now is that whatever it is that you want to wrap up, we can see something finishing or something starting, but there's a lot that's going on, a lot of moving parts at once. Your communication is going to have quite an impact. So you could just randomly say something and word gets out quickly. So really mind and tune into and respect the power of what you say in this moment in time. So we're seeing things picking up from a schedule perspective and then communication traveling at a greater speed. Deep past, Five of Swords reversed. Some of you are letting go of trying to convince someone that they need to understand something. You're walking away from conversations where people just aren't open. To me, this is usually a person that lacks accountability, lacks the ability to even sort of like, what's the best word here? Empathize, yeah. So they just don't really want to hear what you have to say. So if there's, whether that's a parent, a friend, or a boss, someone in your life where you're tired of it, you've kind of like run out of fuel there. I like that this is something where you've accepted what you can change and what you can't change. And really focusing on the new day that's dawning. And that's something here as the sun is kind of at equinox today that we can focus on, is balancing out your energy, reclaiming your power, focusing on communicating in a way where it makes a difference. And I'm sure you've all had a conversation with someone, whether it's like a young child that doesn't understand, or a pet, or just someone who's stubborn, but someone who's not listening or computing. It's exhausting, right? And you can try different ways, and you don't want to lose your cool. So don't put any more energy into that. And that's the main sort of message with this. All right, here is one of the cool things that is either underway or about to happen. We have the Four of Wands. This card is focused more on the energy of homecoming, but I see the Four of Wands as a foundational card. Once you start to do the work in your life, this is taking care of your health, taking care of your finances, basically really getting everything sorted out. It's almost like when we think of a plane, it's like creating a paved landing pad so that you're saying, come on, good news, good opportunities, come land here. I've created the space for that. And so I see some incoming good news. It could be in the form of a relationship, or there just could be a person bearing some good news and saying, wait until you hear this, or hey, I would like you to get involved with this. Are you in? Someone's looking at you and they're valuing your partnership, and it can be romantic. This could be a hand in a relationship or marriage, but it can also just be saying, hey, you're the perfect person to come on board and work with me. So I like this. And it could just feel very easy. The homecoming piece can be the fact that whether you're looking at like a karmic relationship or a childhood relationship like the Six of Cups, or just your future best friend here in the Four of Wands, sometimes you meet someone and you just hit it off, you vibe. You're in the same frequency, you share common interests. I've had this happen a couple times in my life with just friends, and it's so rare and it's so cool when it does. And that is rare. So if this happens, really put some energy into that and see what you can make of it. There could be something beautiful, kind of like just starting there. But at the very least, this is the old phrase from Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. So this is really where you want to create foundations in your life that can sustain future opportunities. You want to create energies within your body that are going to attract people that have done the same thing on themselves. So again, self-care, self-respect, healing, just all of that jazz. Get kind of amped up energetically as best as you can. And then the Four of Wands individual that you pull in is going to be exactly what you're looking for. All right, looking at your crowning card, we have the Fool, and the Fool is a great energy here as we're looking at something new. So we have the Fool in reverse. So part of this could involve, it's hard to walk away from something, but ends and beginnings are very sort of similar to this, where walking away from one opportunity or one situation, maybe dissolving a partnership or dissolving maybe even like it's a divorce or something like that. You're also walking towards something else. So as long as you're moving in the right direction, that's all that matters. Movement is a central theme here. If we put the card back and look at the table here, we see crossing the Power card here, we have movement, connecting movement to eventually what the future is going to be. We have like partnership, stress management, but ultimately it's going to pay off in the long run. So we'll be getting to this card next. But I think one thing that I want to say here is never lose sight of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And if something isn't in alignment with your higher purpose, then it's going to be time for you to basically to get in the car and drive. I really do think this is a chance for redirecting for many of you this month. Let's talk about the stress management card after I take a drink of my tea here, and then we'll continue. Okay, so I actually like that they called out one of the energies of the Nine of Swords. I typically would put this maybe more on like Five of Cups, or anyway, morning can touch a bunch of different cards. So maybe we'll just kind of go with what the illustrator wanted on this one. Nine of Swords can be stress, for sure. It can be lack of sleep, absolutely. It can be building something up to be more than it is. It can also be mourning. And what you could be mourning is, that an opportunity passed you by, that you'll never be able to do something that someone else wanted you to do because you're your own person. Lots of different things that we could mourn the passing of. Even when we wantingly decide to move away from something, these two cards can go together. A fear of trying something new. That's for sure. I can see that connection here. So Of all the swords cards, the 2 and the 9, I'm not afraid of. 2 of swords is basically just indecision or a lack of clarity. 9 of swords is typically butterflies gone amok. They're all over the place. So a few butterflies are fine, but if you got this, swarm all around you of energy, like butterflies representing nerves or fear, it becomes overwhelming. So this is really about taming the butterflies within and saying, all I can do is my best. And if that's not good enough, that's okay. I was listening to an old interview with, let me think of the singer, Rihanna. And she has a tattoo, something like, I can't remember the exact tattoo, but it basically, what she said in the interview was, it's okay to make a mistake, just don't make the same one twice. So you're allowed to sort of do whatever you need to do. Sometimes things don't work out. Just learn from it. Inform yourself so that future movements are different. And I really liked that little kernel that I heard the other day. I'm like, oh, good idea. Good message there. There's no mistakes if you're learning, if you're advancing, if you've gained something from the experience. It was just context. It was difficult context, but context nonetheless. So you have nothing really to lose as long as you continue to evolve and improve from your experiences. So let the 9 of swords go, and let's focus on how you're showing up this month. You came through with a little bit of rebellious energy. So the Hierophant is about organization, structure, predictability, stuff that you would see in schools and, traditional things like even government. But when the card is reversed, it's saying, I don't want to do it. I want to try it my own way. Speaking of tattoos, it's that sort of stuff like, I want to be bold, I want to be seen, I want to look at it in a different way. So one of your strengths and challenges this month is going to be when and where to be bold, individual, and maybe even rebellious, and where you're going to need to travel within the predestined lines, because there are certain things we can't break. You go to a stop sign, you need to stop. If it's time to renew your license or your passport, you have to do that. At the end of the month, you got to pay your rent. These aren't things we rebel against, but what we can rebel against sometimes are societal norms for like what we can, how to dress, what to say, what we can do. We can change a lot in the world, but the things that I mentioned here are just things that keep general society going. So figure out where you can scribble outside of the lines and where you're just going to cooperate, with the system. And thinking outside of the box could actually also be advantageous. People could be coming to you because they're stuck and they're like, hey, you always have good ideas. What am I missing here? So you can definitely take that piece of your rebellious side and maybe even monetize it or do something good with it. All right, focusing on the environment here, we have 2 cards. I always like to read the first as the opportunity and the one underneath either as the challenge or, the hidden benefit. So this was central to what I talked about at the beginning, the Chariot card. This one is a little bit different. Basically, a Chariot card can comprise any mode of transportation. So I've seen airplanes, I've seen motorcycles. I don't think I've seen many ships. Maybe in my steampunk deck, there's like a flying ship or something, but this is kind of unusual. Usually the ship is reserved for the 6 of swords, but it works on this because basically the Chariot is any vehicle that you can steer, and you can definitely steer a ship as well. So it's in reverse. Some of you might be deciding to backtrack a little bit. So maybe there's something that you forgot. Maybe there's something that you need to finish before you go to the next step of the journey. This could also just be saying, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's go there, or let's do something that I set out to do, but again, haven't had a chance to. So it could just be taking control. I like that. There could also be people in your life right now that are trying to, I don't want to use the word gaslight, but challenge your authority. And let's look at the card underneath it so that we can get some understanding of what to do. So I mentioned earlier, that resources are going to be important here. Let me take a drink and we'll talk about this. Okay. 7 of Pentacles, recovery. Recovery when it comes to finances, when it comes to your body, when it comes to how you are allocating time and energy. And we see a bountiful 7 of Pentacles in this, like she's got more than enough. And this This is cool. You can take this card either direction. It makes sense building from the Six of Pentacles because you've learned how and when to say no and where to sort of like go a little bit more. With this, it's basically saying, don't forget that. You can stretch a little bit more than you did before, but remember what you've also overcome. So again, it's kind of like if you're healing from an injury, you're not going to go out and run a 5K the next month or whatever. You've got to give your body time to recover. So slow and steady. Remember to continue to say no when you need to things that don't sort of make sense, and save a little bit of contingency for the long haul. And so when it comes to making a change in direction, go in the direction that allows for growth and recovery is basically how I would combine these two. So if you're headed towards something where you feel like, this is going to rejuvenate me, this is going to enlighten me, this is going to build my skills, this is going to build me up, that's the direction in which you want to head. Okay? All right. Let's take a look at opportunities coming forth. We have the Four of Cups, which I just covered in my daily card read. And the Four of Cups is a really cool card that's dealt with differently every time. You can look at today's, and we're going to also look at this one here. So this Four of Cups is in the reverse state. I feel like this one's almost like an answer to the Four of Wands, because this is a call for partnership or friendship. And this one is someone coming from an unexpected sort of like direction. And that definitely jives with what Four of Cups can represent. Let me just pull the traditional one as I'm talking because it's kind of interesting. This is one of the few where there's actually like a hidden hand floating in the sky like you would see with an Ace of Cups. Here it is. So, all the all the ace cards have a hand holding one of the elements, the sword, a pentacle, a cup, a wand. In this Four of Cups, he's focusing on what's in front of him. Meanwhile, there's literally the symbol for the Ace of Cups in the background. And so this can mean that there's an idea, opportunity, love interest, or something worth listening to right in the periphery. It's sort of like ripe for the picking. But distraction or disbelief can sometimes fog your vision. So here we just have someone going right on past that and saying, pay attention to me. So this person's not so subtle. And this is also saying it's a time to not be so subtle. Get out there and explore. And don't wait for something to come to you either. Look around. See, maybe it's already here, but really tune in. And what is in front of you and what has happened is simply, the past and the present, but you're constantly creating the future. Someone new could be coming into your life, or there could be a really cool idea that is sort of begging for more investment from you. And really what the Four of Cups can also represent is how are you invested? Are you in? Okay, let's focus on the, a couple of other things here with this. So the opportunity is that something is closer than you think. The fear for some of you is that you might be afraid that you can't get it. That's not wrong. And the only thing that you could possibly miss is something available to you because of disbelief. All right, now moving on to the outcome. Really solid outcome card for you, Ten of Pentacles. And, not that they needed to summarize it, but we have the word wealth at the bottom here. And we see this sort of like overflowing energy as well. So for many of you, you've opened up the door for abundance, for growth. Ten of Pentacles, not illustrated as such on here, but the traditional card will also show family, friends, and colleagues. So some of you are also in a place where if you've been doing things alone for a while, you don't have to keep doing it all on your own. You could be now at a place where you could partner up. And again, this could be for business or for other opportunities. You can delegate if you want to. That's another thing here, and it's really up to you. But I see a network of people that are ready and willing to connect with you. And it's really just a question of if you're ready to sort of put that energy out there. So this can also be marriage and business partnerships as well. So if you're looking for a job, or if you're single and looking, that card actually is really good to have in the outcome. As a general resource card, it tells me that you've overcome some of the challenges that we would see in the Seven of Pentacles, which is about rebuilding. So we definitely see that you're rebuilding, that you're taking control back from someone else, or just taking control if you've been sort of like not doing what you need to. So I like this. And what we've seen here is a new direction. It's a little bit in the glare here. So we have the Fool. So the Fool is walking towards something new, maybe walking away from something, taking control of that steering wheel, seeing things move quickly, multiple cards of abundance and partnership and opportunity. And that looks pretty good to me. Let's go ahead now, and we're going to expand this a little bit further. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, beginning with the health card, which comprises the mind, the body, and the spirit. And for that, we have an interesting card. We have the goat coming through. And I was like, interesting card for health. So definitely with this, it's a little bit of devil energy whenever I see the goat. So there's some good stuff with a goat too, but we're going to focus on as if this were just the devil card that I pulled in health. What it's basically saying is now is the time to own anything that you need to change and be accountable to it, and to really push back on things that tempt or deflate, defeat, deplete, any of that stuff. And just basically say, not today, if it's El Diablo. Goats in and of themselves are, good animals. What I like about, there's a nice Capricorn sort of energy with this. But what I would say with with this is really know yourself, know your limits, know your boundaries. When I saw that, that was what I read initially. Since I haven't had time to resource it, the one thing that or research it rather, one thing that I'm thinking of is like the little baby goats that like to sort of like hop around. So there's a lot of energy with this card that I'm picking up on. So I would say one of the challenges is how to channel your energy. So some of you could be bored, or you might feel like you're tired of the winter. I know a lot of us are, and it's sort of like, I need to do something. So find an outlet or a channel, and I think that could be really good, and you won't be like the goat hopping around trying to figure out what to do. I love seeing those videos of young little goats. They're cute. But yeah, by and large, I'm going to read this as if it were the devil card, which is talking about walking away from limiting ideas, limiting actions, and things that can sometimes pull you off track. Okay, let's take a look and see what other messages are coming through. Standard disclaimer applies. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a replacement for a financial advisor. I am a tarot reader and an intuitive, and I am here to help you look at the options in front of you. You get to decide what to do. Disclaimers aside, let's see what the cards are suggesting when it comes to what to focus on, what not to focus on. I think the first thing is sleep. Are you getting too much, too little, or is it interrupted? What's the quality? I care more about the quality. Secondly, about the quantity. We do need a certain amount. Last night, I have something, I'm trying to launch a project this summer, and so there was some stuff I had to do, and I thought, no, you just got to go to bed. I'll change the meeting. I'll push some of my deliverables. I'm my own boss on some of this stuff. I just can't operate like I did when I was in high school or college. My body won't do it. The older you get, there's just certain points where you're like, it's not worth it. Why? So get your sleep. You'll be better when you're well rested. So that's one piece. It's time to move. Again, I'm not a doctor, so talk with your health professional on this, but the Fool is usually the lowest impact of all of the potential workout cards. So moving the legs is a key piece. Everyone nowadays tends to do too much with sitting, myself included. So lower spine compression, hip sort of gets, out of whack, tailbone, all this sort of, and we're not moving the legs enough. And then all this can lead to things like clotting and whatnot. So move your legs. This is as much for you as it is for me. We'll get out and take a walk later. Health and and energy cooperating. All right, let's see what else is coming through. You don't have to, I keep saying this. So this is actually about asking for help and delegating. So we see someone holding someone here. So you can allow someone, you can lean on someone. And the people are absent in this card, but I showed you the picture. You can tap into the network here. So there's no need to hold on to everything and do it yourself. You can lean on someone else too. Don't drive or operate vehicles when you are tired. It's just as bad as being inebriated. because you're lacking judgment. Don't do anything if you're tired, if you can help it, because your language skills, your higher reasoning skills, and your motor skills are lacking. So the main thing that I'm focusing on is sleep, environment. Do you like where you're at? Do you want to leave? Is it time to leave? Are you not getting paid enough? Is that causing stress? Something about the environment, something about sleep, and then a little bit of exercise as your doctor approves is also going to help things out here. That's pretty much it. It's a decent spread overall, all right? Let's go ahead and move on to the next piece. So after health comes wealth, which is your resources, life purpose, and career. My breath connects me to my life. Okay, so some of you may just be going so fast and doing so much that you don't feel connected anymore. And this is saying before you make any major move, breathe. Sleep on it if you need to. Think about it. Really be intentional, clear, and connected, like excited about it. I've been talking about this, I feel like, in a bunch of our collective readings and in some of the monthly ones. Passion and clarity will almost make for like this unstoppable mix with you if you can accomplish that. Sorry, I keep hitting the mic. So this is also kind of connected to your health card. You could do something super low impact, just like meditation, breathing, yoga. You could do low impact yoga, seat-based yoga if you need to, but really what's important here is to oxygenate the body and the blood, and however you can start to bring more insight and energy into your body is going to be key. All right, let's look specifically at the cards around money, career, and opportunity. I'm going to focus first on what's going on around you. This is going to help for those of you that are seeking out a job. This to me is okay, but I'd love for it to be a little bit better. So Seven of Pentacles is more than enough, but it's stretched a little thinner than it should be. So for some of you, doing less and doing it better, or asking for help, or leaning more on others, I'd like to see you a little less stretched energetically. The Chariot card for some of you is an overdue trip, or it's saying don't be afraid to get out there and see what's available to you opportunity-wise. There could be also something better waiting for you, but it requires travel or moving. For those of you that are currently in a job, I like the center energy. You've done the work to be respected. It looks like people do care about what you have to say. What I don't love, this is particularly for those of you that might be in an existing job, for instance, it feels like some things have not been easy for you. The Five of Swords is showing that you had to fight for things, or that people maybe didn't always, they weren't always, it's not even accountable, they just weren't easy to sort of talk to about certain things. So you've done a good job building a network. I don't know if that network is always around you at work, so it might be time to reduce stress by finding a different environment if you can. If not, find ways to cope with the stress. We can't all up and leave. So sometimes it's just about better boundaries, better communication, and saying, that doesn't work. Stop saying that, or stop doing that, or just to leave the room. The Fool is sort of saying like, yeah, I don't need to partake in this. You guys sort it out and call me when you figured it out. So there's a lot of different ways you can cope with it, but stress management is the core piece here that's blocking this, which is growth and development. So whatever you can do to reduce your stress, each person is different. That's the key thing. But again, I have to keep reminding you that there's support and love and resources, so tap into those. Overall, you're headed in the right direction. Control, repair, and growth. So it's good the way I'm looking at it here. Two cards showing a potential move or movement or travel. The Fool is pretty close if it's walkable. And this doesn't necessarily have to be across the world. So there might be something closer than you think. Let me just get something to take the glare off this. Usually if I there we go. All right, so that's everything for wealth. Overall, I think it's a time for you to just focus on being happy and not letting things sort of occupy so much mental real estate when it comes to stress. All right, let's move on to the next piece, which is going to be love. Love is not just romantic relationships. It can also be platonic and friends and family. And that's how I'm going to read the main card here first. So then we'll break it down into the different things here. So we have another Empress here, basically the lady card, and it says, enjoy growth and reap the rewards. And so we see a change coming through here, and now we see a change for the better. So for many of you, these budding or growing relationships could actually be fruitful, literally taking what we see here on the card as face value. So there's a fruitful partnership on the horizon. But it's also reminding you that it's because you see your worth. You are the Empress, you are the lady, you have that ability to take care of yourself too, right? You don't need someone to take care of you. All right, focusing on 3 different aspects of love. We could do more than 3, but I'm going to take 3 for now. First thing, we'll be looking at those that want to focus on someone that they love. So I've started to read this not just as your lover, but the person you love the most. So we'll be looking at key relationships with love, then those of you that are looking for love or companionship, or those that are happily single. All right, focusing on the person you love the most, whether it's romantic or it's just someone in your life that's amazing and you think about them and you think, I love you. Okay, this is the first person that we're looking at. A couple of things are coming to mind. I like to look at the past as karma. It feels like communication is getting better, but it isn't always great. With the 5 of Swords, sometimes you guys talk at, not necessarily to, or one of you is just not listening to everything that the other one's saying. So it does feel like a lot of growth has happened here, but it takes self-control to overcome old programming. So keep working on it. Keep doing the good work here. I like that. There is stress going on in the relationship. It could be from family, from work. It seems external, but it's still there. So reminding one another that you're not the enemy, right? Like, you're there to help. I signed up to be with you, so I'm here to help reduce this. So don't take it out on me, right? And so I, again, am not a counselor. You may need to talk to a counselor for better ways to articulate it. I'm just going to kind of give you a quick and easy summary, and then you can find a way in your own words and in your own sort of relationship dynamics that'll work the best. I like why you're together. It started in friendship, the 4 of Wands, and it looks like you're still very much invested in one another. That looks good too. It looks like there's too much focus, dare I say, on the finances. This does happen as relationships sometimes age. So you focus more on the bills, the family, the external, like the in-laws and all of that stuff. And what might be nice is getting away from all of that for a little bit and just kind of having some fun again and looking at some other things in life. A vacation, I think, would be great. And this is so powerful. You're not their parent and they're not your parent. And if either of you fall into that habit, this isn't it. And I've seen this a few times this month. But the Hierophant wants things done a certain way and wants people to listen. The reversal of that is saying, like, let's just let each of us be our own boss and our own person. And we're here, like, to have fun together and to build things together. But it's not about pointing fingers or fixing things or whatever. Last thing, careful about walking out on an argument. It would be better to stay a second and just say, I hear you. I'm just as frustrated as you. I'm tired today. Can we talk about this in like an hour? Let me clear my head. Let me get some caffeine. Let me get some food. And then let's talk it out. I don't want you to think I'm walking away, but I need to kind of like ground myself. And that seems very fair as a request. And if you can't allow me to do that, then we can't have a constructive conversation. So I'm not walking out. I'm going to go get some food. Can I get you something? And then let's talk. So you can have a constructive, it feels like some of you just need some distance. Just make sure that it's clear that it's not walking out, because that's really frustrating. We've not all been there. I won't project that, but I've been there before. And it's frustrating when someone hangs up, walks away, or just doesn't listen. And it's like, well, that's not cool. But I get it. All right, so those are some of the challenges. The good news, though, is we do have a positive card there. And these are just like maturity and communication things. And I feel like they're all manageable. All right, for those of you looking for love, What do we see coming through here? All right, if you're focusing on love, well, first of all, I feel like I'd like you to just work on your own stress management, as we talked about earlier. I feel like there's already someone around you that's quite interested. The Four of Cups means that they're dropping hints, but they're not necessarily clear to you. Or maybe you're second guessing your radar when it comes to, are they interested, are they not? In which case you should just ask. Or, get the clarity that you need on that. But I see someone that's much closer. So that's one partnership opportunity. Then we have a couple that are showing people coming from afar. The person coming from afar could be a little bit younger or could be just very outspoken. This seems like there would be no question here. They would strike up a conversation with you. Knight of Swords energy, basically embodying that. I think there's an interesting thing here for those that are looking for love. It seems like the focus could be on stability or marriage from one side or another. And the one message I keep bringing through this month is money is important, but just not. It's not the central theme for today. The central theme is you're feeling like you're in the right direction. You're on solid ground. You can take care of yourself, and the person is the cherry on top. And if and when you decide to take it to the next level, that's like a second cherry on top of that cherry. It's all good, but we're not going to focus too much on this other than that you're looking for someone that's serious. And that's definitely what I'm getting here. You're either calling in someone that wants to be serious or you want to be serious. So let's not worry so much about this. Let's focus on stress management, your own resource management, leaning more on others, and finding places where you have more control. Okay? Clearing all of that. If you're single and happy, good. It's a great time to be single and happy because you can travel. 2 cards for travel. I see your finances really blossoming right now. And I think that you have a chance to maybe even get a new job. Because you're untethered, if you're not really tied to living to a certain place, or if you're okay with a little bit more travel or teleworking or something like that, there's a chance for a new job that's it's not where you live. It's sort of outside of your geographical boundaries. Okay, let's move on to the Destiny card. We have basically a different version of the Death card here. We have Release, but it's death or transformation. And it's a beautiful image for death and change and transformation. The cool thing is we have a lot of symbols for that already kind of intermixed in the cards here, including this one right at the center. So many of you are kind of moving into this state of empowerment. We see that little butterfly, which to me could easily be on a card of transformation. On this one, we see transcendence beyond the physical. Metaphysical is, it's beyond this body. And one of the cool things that I've changed a lot in this lifetime. Like as a kid, I wasn't sure what was out there, what was beyond the planet, what was beyond this lifetime. The older I get, the more experiences I have with spirit. And now that I have a lot of my loved ones in spirit, I know that there are, from my own perspective, each of us can have our own connection to that, and I don't project it. But I've seen things that have changed my perspective. I feel like life continues. And I've seen in like past life connections where we keep repeating things until we get it right. So this moment in time is saying you can break some karmic energy and just move on to the next phase. You can kind of like skip. It's like the old Monopoly game where you can just go past go and go somewhere else. So I see this sort of shortcut or tesseract energy if you're just willing to say, I don't need to do that again. I'm good. I'm solid. Or I have nothing to lose by trying this. I'm going to skip over all the self-doubt this time and just go for it. So you're either going to let something go because it's not worth it, or you're going to go for it because you can't afford not to. And when you release the fear of failure, which is really what these two are showing, then all you can basically do is shine. And we see the light within here. And that's going back to the catalyst here. Okay? So let's move on to the big idea for this particular month, which is going to help you see what the North Star is, see how you can navigate, and then we'll go into the expanded forecast, or not the expanded, but the sun, rising, and moon signs. All right, first things first, big idea. You got 2. I'll honor it. All right, so the big ideas for this month. Again, I always like to read the top card as the main one. So we have Merlin, the magician, coming through saying, work your magic. The card is, well, it came through reverse, but we're going to look at it upright for a moment. In the upright position, it's saying, pick a path. Usually there's four elements in front of the magician, and really embrace it. You don't have to use everything. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to be everything to everyone. Pick one thing and really focus. And then with the card in reverse, don't get distracted. Trust yourself. Don't doubt your skills. The antithesis of that is trust and belief. So have trust, faith, and belief in what it is that you do, and you'll start to manifest in real time. Okay? The next piece here was love. We have the Queen of Chalices, or the Queen of Cups, underneath. She's reversed. So for some of you, to get to the Queen of Cups, you have to let go of something, which nicely connects to the death or release card that we have here. The release could be releasing yourself from the fear of failure, releasing yourself from the need to be perfect, releasing yourself from the harsh feedback of others, just breathing. Spiritual surrender and release are also really powerful ways to just allow yourself to swiftly move into your path. So I feel like the sooner you can let it go, the sooner you can let it in. There's another bumper sticker, but it's true. There may be love on the horizon for some of you, but it comes after you start doing what you signed up to do on this planet. So work your magic, do something that inspires you. Someone is inspired by the fact that you're inspired, and they're attracted to that energy. So it's your connection to source and you doing what you love that brings in your Queen of Cups. Okay? Let's now take a look at the sun, rising, and moon messages, getting a little bit more clarity for those that might be watching for these aspects. It also just gives us a deeper understanding of the sign. So let's see what's coming through. Sun, rising, and moon. Okay, folks, let's see the messages one by one. All right, so the first card here for sun, the majority of you that are watching this can help you connect with that. So we have the Maid of Chalices coming through, getting us closer to the Queen card. Not quite there yet, but I'll take it. So this is about beginning to talk to yourself and talk to others about how you feel, what it is that you want, and basically giving yourself permission to be happy. I don't know why that needs to come through today, but for some of you it does. It's okay to be happy, and it's okay to do something that makes other people unhappy if it makes you happy, especially if it's something that is, like good for you, good for the planet, good for the people around you. Just because someone doesn't understand it, who cares? At a certain point, who cares? This can also absolutely, since we're looking at the energy of cups, be involved with a relationship. Maybe your mom or dad doesn't like the person that you've ended up with, and it's their loss. Or, people around you judge you for some reason for not being in a relationship. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. What is bringing you joy? And is that helping you? And is it hurting anyone else? If it's not hurting anyone else, if it's making your life happy, then that's fine. That's exactly what you should be focusing on, is joy and satisfaction. So the main message for sun is you're allowed to be happy. It's actually your divine right to have some joy and happiness. You should be engaging with other people that cultivate that joy, and you don't owe anybody an explanation for who you are or what you're doing if it's authentic. Rising. This is the only area where I see a little bit of work here. So second time that we've gotten the devil card here. I read the goat as the devil. So this one's really interesting. We're looking at this cyclical path that's happening here in this particular devil card. So I think you can break through this. So this is just saying old patterns die hard, but once they sort of fizzle out, then you are truly liberated here. So the main opportunity is to release a pattern that doesn't serve or suit you anymore. Also, when I'm looking at that, it's hypnotic, right? So sometimes we just sort of get pulled into the words, or or the pretty pictures and things that people put up in the world. And you're like, as you dig a little deeper, you're like, this isn't what I want. So it can happen in a relationship. It can happen in a job. It can just happen at a certain point where you think, I know how I ended up here, but this isn't where I want to be now. So you get to school or community activities or just public at large. Interesting that we hear like the sirens in the background. It's a wake-up call, right? So this is a chance for you to deviate from the norm and do something different. Otherwise, let's just talk about the Devil card. The Devil card represents walking away from limiting ideas when it comes to your own potential. So don't think to yourself, and that's a double negative. Focus on what you can do rather than what you can't do. When you sit and think about this sort of stuff and you think, it won't happen, I can't do this, I'm not capable, you're creating self-fulfilling prophecies. And because the magician came through as one of the two big ideas, we want to be careful about manifesting fears or insecurities. You want to avoid contracts that take too much. Someone that requests too much time or energy, a contract that doesn't give you enough pay or recognition or support. So avoid either actual limits or mental limits that hold you back from your potential. And that's the main thing with the Devil. This card isn't that scary. It's just sort of saying like it's a wake-up call. But sometimes the image in the Devil cards can be off-putting. But I just basically pay attention to kind of like the strings that are attached or the chains that are attached usually to the images on the card. And it's about releasing those chains. Moving on to Moon, we have the Six of Swords, which is movement. This is a really different Six of Swords here. The card is reversed, but let's look at it upright. It shows that the movements within, we've got the swords kind of pointing up, almost like one on each chakra point. So we have like one in the solar plexus, one in the heart, one around the throat. And then we see that that's going to be what takes you in the right direction. So having the power, putting the power behind your words, like basically walk the walk, don't just talk the talk. This is about really feeling in the heart that you're ready to do something. And then this is the articulation of all of that as well. So the power, the passion, and the ability to sort of say that and do it. Traditional Six of Swords is just a ship in the water, but in the ship in the water, sometimes we see a ghost. The question on this one goes back to kind of like the chariot. Are you the person in the back, or are you the one that's rowing it? And based on the card that we see here, you're the one that's rowing it. So what you really want to decide this month is, what next? Do I like where I'm at? So what now and what next? It's not just about and when I say next, I don't just mean the next step, but like, what's the step after that step? So I'd like you to think a couple of years ahead to project. In business, a lot of times there's like a 5-year plan, 5-year, 8-year, 10-year, whatever. For you, I would be happy with just a year or two. How is this aligning with my short-term goals? If you want to go so far as planetary or legacy goals, go for it. Like, what happens when I'm gone, and how do I want to affect the world in a real and impactful way? But let's just focus on where you're headed first. And if it's aligning with passion and making you happy, I would be satisfied with that. But sometimes to get there, you can just think about, what's it all really about? What do I want to do? I didn't have that awakening until like 15 years into my professional career. And so that's another time traveling thing that I would do. I'd go back to myself in grad school and I'd say, what are you doing? What do you really want to do? Don't waste so much time sitting at desks and jobs. I learned a lot of skills from them, a lot of production skills that are coming handy every single day. Never is there an accident. And also, I'm a lot more mature and patient and grateful for what I have because I've been on the other side. But and again, I wouldn't want to mess up the timelines, but I would be curious to see different versions. what another version of me would have been like if I just avoided the corporate path and went straight to this. So you never know. So I want to empower all of you to be that version, wherever you're at. Just get to the next chapter sooner, because I think you're all ready if you're tuning in to me today. Okay? So this is really about walking and breaking through that sort of barrier, the emotional barrier, the mental barrier, and for some of you, just the fear. So releasing your anxiety, fear, and the need to be perfect is going to be so important. And by the way, at the bottom of this card, we had the word perception. And it really is, perception is everything. If you can see it, you can do it. And that might even be the title for today, because I really think that that's powerful. If you can see it, you can do it, and that's going to allow you to make some really great strides. I believe we went through the major components of today. Before we get into the final piece, which will be me pulling a card at the end based on any kind of question that you have, do me a favor, if you wouldn't mind, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We're only 2,000 away from my next milestone, and so I'll do a very special, I think we can hit it within the next week or so if we try. So next week, hopefully I can do a Q&A video if we hit that milestone. Give me a follow on social media if you don't mind. All of these links, in case you want to make sure that you've got the right place, you can go to my website. It's nicholasashbaugh.com. It's on my main page here on YouTube. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh. And make sure, there's a lot of imposters out there that put like a period or like take the I and make it an L and do weird stuff. So if you are ever doubting it, you can again go to the About page here or go to my website. One very easy way to know if it's me or not: I don't offer private readings. I don't ask for money through text messages. I don't use Telegram. And on Instagram, there's someone offering palm readings. I don't even do that. So be smart and be safe. If you want to show support, I saw someone that had like 20 plus months. Was that you, Tahoe? Thank you so much for the folks that have, I think it is. Thank you so much for all my long-term members here. And by the way, the members in the coming months when I have my podcast, which is going to be in the middle of the year, middle to latter part, but there'll be some extra bonuses then, maybe either some stuff that I cut from the podcast or some other things. So I'll try to give back more to members as the year progresses. Okay, let's get into the meditation, folks. Close your eyes if you don't mind. Take a nice deep breath. I'd like you to envision yourself looking out at the horizon, kind of like this Fool card here, at the rising sun, surrounded by emerald green as far as the eye can see. Take a moment, if you will, and find a place to lay down on this open field. It's nice and mossy grass where it's almost like you're laying on a cloud. And just look at the blue sky above you. Boundless, endless blue. Allow that blue energy to open up your throat chakra. Allow the green to open up the heart. And just breathe. And think to yourself what it is that you want to create balance on, since we're here on the equinox. And overall, just open yourself up to receive, since we have the blue messages, good news. Expect some good news, expect some love and support, and open up your heart, your mind, and your eyes so that you can see that. I'm going to play the singing bowl for a moment, and then we'll come back and we'll look at your final card. Final card is a question that you have for me, so just hold that while we meditate. All right, let's take a few deep breaths. Allow your energy to come back into your body. Feel that your heart is open, your third eye is open, your throat chakra is open. You have the ability to feel, to see, to communicate your wishes, your intentions, and you're also able to pick up on things that are coming in your life as well. Plant your feet on the ground, rooting your energy in the earth plane. Rub your hands together. Place your hands firmly on your heart. Take 2 deep breaths, and on the second exhale, open your eyes. If you haven't already done so, please do open your eyes. And let's focus now on the question that you have for me. All right, let's shuffle the cards and see what energetically is coming through for this final question. All right, got the Maid of Staves here coming through. So the answer is yes, and we kind of see the person coming through as the heralding their own sort of good news. But whenever we're looking at a Page of Wands, for instance, this is about being open and able to communicate your needs, wants, and desires and your ideas. So opening up to communication right now and basically not holding back is what I see. I love the passionate energy in this one. So how can we kind of break this down for you? I think the key thing here would be communicating to someone around you, particularly if this is going back to the relationship stuff. You can say what you like, what you don't like. You can validate things, but really letting people know what's going on here in the head and in the heart, because we don't have swords on this one. So helping them understand, setting expectations, validating things when they're going well, and then course correcting when they're not. This is also time to take an idea and bring it to the next level. So don't be shy, be bold in this period of time. All right. Great energy, great card to wrap up with. So before I end, I just want to say thank you so much. I'm going to take a couple moments here to give some gratitude to all of you that gave back. While I'm doing that, a reminder that I'm live every Monday, Thursday, and Friday, every Sunday as well for the weekly, and then I intersperse daily readings as well. All right, so let's first say thanks to the newest members. It looks like we had 4 today. Maybe not all that joined during it, but since the last 12 hours or so. Actually, maybe 5 here. So A2, Maria, Martha Bean, BX Series, 10, and Jana Semper. Hard to kind of pronounce it when it's 2 vowels, or Sherry's or something like that, but thank you. I also saw that there were a couple people that had, I think it was Janice was the newest member, but yeah, again, Tahoe, thank you for 20 months. That's amazing. And then now for those who gave back with super stickers or super chat, we'll take a moment here and then we'll wrap up for today. Super stickers and super chat. We have, starting off today, Tahoe again. Thank you. I'm glad that you were here. Aphrodite Goddess 369, good to see you. Monica, thank you so much. And Angel. All right, I think that's everybody. So wishing you lots of love and light. Thank you for a magical reading. Thanks for joining me on Equinox. Take a listen to the weekend forecast if you haven't already. I already put timestamps on that so you can tune into the portions that you would like. And I appreciate all of you. All right, have a great day, everyone. Remember, you have permission to be happy. Do something that brings some joy today. And keep me posted as the month progresses and let me know how things are going. All right, in the meantime, wishing you the best. See you real soon. Lots of love and light. Bye-bye.